ongoing thing.
Welcome back to the second part of the introduction video, where we'll be looking at what development environment is and how to set up one in personal or office laptop. And the next thing we'll be looking at is where do you get the source code from, because you need a proper folder structure in order to set up your project properly. Everything has been created since the beginning so that you just need to use these files so that you don't have to create any discrepancy in your folder structure. So let's see, if it's your office laptop, then you need to consult your IT department, ask the admin to give you the rights in order to install the application. Before you ask the admin, you need to write down all the applications that you need in order to write the development code, and also the applications that are used to test the code, and all the applications which suit your job. You need to write it down so that they will give you access or they will download and install it for you. It's their part. Whereas when it comes to your personal laptop, you don't need any other permissions or you don't have any other restrictions. So in your personal laptop, it's very simple. Just go to Google, download whatever environment you would like to write the piece of code in, and start coding it. So before I tell you what all different types of environments are there, the most common environment which everyone uses is the Atom. So normally, let me start by explaining few basic things there. If you look at the environments out there, you can see this as an environment as well. The Notepad++. Even this can be an environment. But what do you call an environment as? Environment is something where you can write a piece of code, where you can test the application, which helps you to perform all the things in a single place itself. For example, if you're in this course, we are trying to write a HTML language, and there are a lot of elements as we have discussed in the first video. There are a lot of elements. So you see, if I want to write a HTML tag, if I open in a notepad, just a notepad, you can see that every text will be plain blank in color. It will not recognize what type of file it is. It will not color code your code. Color coding is something that which will make your code look different than rather than having a black font, sorry. So if you click on the language over here, you can see that it supports a lot of languages. If you want a HTML, you can select the HTML, and whole the file will know it automatically that we are going to write a HTML file in this. So these are the kind of editors which we would like to work in, because the main reason behind the development part is not to remember all the strategies, all the techniques, all the technologies that you need to know. All those things you don't need to remember, but you need to know their importance. If at all I'm trying to create an application, I don't need to know everything. I can search for them on the Google. I can get their functionalities and I can use them accordingly. What happens if I learn everything? When you can find the information online, why do you want to learn a lot of things that isn't necessary? For example, if I write some code and if the editor helps me out to write it in a complete format, then that will be really helpful for me, right? Rather than writing a whole piece of line, if it helps me to auto complete it, it will be of a great help. So these are why the editors are into existence. So now that you know what an environment is, and it's called as IDE because it's integrated development environment, where everything is integrated into a single place. You don't have to write a code in one place, execute in another place, testing out in another place. Everything will happen in the same application itself. So let's see what all IDEs are available. I will list out the top IDEs which you can use. These are most popular ones out there. I hope even you guys know what these IDEs are. So first we'll go with the basic IDE. We'll look at the free IDEs and paid IDEs, and there is also a thing for you as well. So the first thing we'll look at the IDE is Sublime Text. See, You can see over here, right? Because I selected the language as HTML over here, it's auto completing whatever it is, or it gives me all the elements. So let's leave that one. So the first IDE will go as the Sublime Text IDE, which is a free to download IDE. You just need to go on a Google, if you go to the Sublime Text IDE over here, you can download for Windows, and depending upon which environment, which operating system you're doing this course in, you can use that one. The IDE looks something like this, where on the left side it's nothing but the folder structure. On the middle you can see this is what is called as a color format. You can see that everything has its own color. So if you know that all the print statements are red in color, then looking at that can be easily identified that only the print statements have been declared over there. That's an example, that's not what actually it's going on here. It varies from one IDE to another IDE. The second thing, we'll look at the second IDE, which is the other famous one out there. It's called as a Brackets. So yes, let's download the let's look. Brackets IDE. Oh, sorry. That's what I was wondering, where the Brackets IDE went in. So this Brackets IDE, you can download it. You can see that the layout is simple. It's as similar to that of Sublime Text, but just few changes and few additionalities. And you can look at their readme files and look what else is different. But all the IDEs have the same purpose. They are integrated at the same place. And you can find the another one which is called as Atom IDE. The third one, let's write it down over here as well. Atom. So download it depending upon which operating system you are using for. It will be the same thing. So it's just the animation that they're popping up over there, colors and all those things. But it's a similar IDE, right? On the left side you have a folder structure. It's saying that inside the lib file folder there are these files. Script is a folder, style is a folder, text is a folder. You can see that images beside the name, those indicates folders, or this some get related. This is a JS JavaScript file, so you get a JS over there. So on. Each IDE has its own way of indicating what these things are. And the another famous one which is out there is Visual Studio Code. And if you look at the Visual Studio Code, you can download the Visual Studio Code from here. It's same. So all these IDEs are free. Let's look at those IDEs which are not free, and they are quite popular as well. The reason what's happening over here is what we learn is what we need to learn, and what we need to know is, if it's your personal laptop, even if it's a paid IDE, you can get it for free. You can download from other sources, you can use it for free. But the main thing you need to remember is, whenever you're working in an office, whenever you're working for a company, then make sure you get the licensed version, because the companies will follow certain rules and all those things, right? Terms and conditions, in which the first thing, you need to pay if it's a paid software. Do not use the cracked files. If you are working in a company, you might get fired. So yes, keeping those things aside, let's all hope that we are working on our personal laptops for now. So there are two IDEs which I'll suggest you guys if you are so rich. The first thing is Webstorm IDE, and the other one is Dreamweaver. These two things are not at all free, but you can have a look at them though. Uh, if you look at the Webstorm IDE, it's really good IDE. The IDE which I feel is better in order to write the full stack development course. In order to do this course, I prefer this IDE is really good. You can see that that's a 30-day trial over there. So you get to download that file, you try to install it, because in this course I will be using Webstorm IDE. That's really easy to download. And the second thing that you need to know is you need to know about the source code. All the code that you write are being arranged in a sequence chapter wise order. Whatever information that I will be recording here will be provided over there. You'll have something called as a starter files. You need to use these starter files. They are like the empty things that have been arranged over there. These files, you need to open those files depending upon which video I'm making on. For example, you can see that on a Google over here. If you see, for example, take this website as an example, you can see that the one which is at the middle is nothing but the image. There is a background image, so that's an element over there. So in order to display the image onto the screen, you need some element tags. So whenever I try to explain you guys about this image tag, how to display the image, there will be a separate file in the chapter, and I'll mention which file I have been using in my course. So you use that file and go on with me, rather than creating the file from the beginning, taking a long time to pause this video and then resume it. You can directly open the file from the folder that I provide you guys, and it's easy to follow. So I hope you guys understood what we will be doing from the next videos on. Now that you know where to download this IDE from and where to get the source code from, in the next video we will look in depth about all the other concepts. Thanks for watching today's videos, guys. Have a nice day.